You're watching The Alex Simmons Show, presented by Chick-Fil-A.
The Memphis Tigers finished 500 in league play in year one under Alex Simmons, and then she went about improving the team. We'll hear about all that and talk to other staffers on this episode of The Alex Simmons Show.
The game is on.
The Alex Simmons Show is presented by Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. And by Simmons Bank, the official sponsor of women's athletics.
Welcome into the second year of the Alex Simmons Show. She's added some new to go with some great old. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Woloshin.
And I'm Tyler Springs. We get to hear from Coach a little bit on roster construction, scheduling, and handling adversity.
Coach, it's been a while since we talked. Since then, you lost some really nice pieces, you kept some, and you brought some really good ones in. Talk a little bit about off-season and how everything came together.
I think the off season was about being intentional. That was something that I hammered into the staff, challenged the staff to we need to be more intentional when it comes to who we're bringing into our program and also what we're doing on the court and outside the court. So I think that's the reason why we put together the team. We brought the players that we brought in. I think it helped this summer. With just spending more time, making sure that they were spending more time together, because when you bring new pieces, the only way you can build camaraderie is to spend time with each other, to get to know each other. So I think we did that in the off season in the summertime.
How important was it for you when you were recruiting pieces from the transfer portal to bring in players that had been on NCAA tournament teams that have seen winning at that level?
Well, when you look at that, it's all about pedigree. And so I think that was important, and putting together winners at the end of the day. And then because we want to get to the NCAA tournament where we're playing multiple games, not just one in and one out, we wanted players who had experience getting to the Sweet 16, playing in that second round game. So I think, when we looked at who was in the portal, those were our best options.
I always love hearing the relationship stories. Here's Dee Dee Hageman. This is a girl, second team All Big Ten from Detroit. How do you get her here?
Well, obviously she was committed and decommitted from Ole Miss super early. And I'll be real honest with you, just because it was the timing of her coming into our program, I wasn't sure if I wanted to add her because I was worried about camaraderie. Just looking at some other situations that have happened with other teams, I didn't want that to happen to our team because I thought we were in a really good space. But I had some conversations with other people who put it into perspective in that at least she would be here from August all through the fall, practicing with the team, at team meals, at team dinners, at team events. So that, really kind of was the reason, and obviously my staff, that kind of convinced me that, she was somebody who we needed to add. And then at the end of the day, her pedigree, she's done some crazy things in the Big Ten at Michigan State. And so, we wanted to bring that leadership and that type of responsibility and experience into our program as well.
You've already had 3 kids go for career highs in points, and you've talked about how sometimes the individual goals, if your kids meet them, you're meeting a team goal as well. What made it possible for those 3 kids to go off early?
I think it's freedom. I think it's the work they put in the off season, and I think it's the system. It's hard to question a system where, every game you've got somebody who is scoring 20 plus, or every game you've got a double-double by one and sometimes 2 players. So I think at the end of the day, it's the system that, again, has been instilled and has been worked on for, before we came to Memphis even.
We're going to talk to all your assistants. And one of the things that I love about your philosophy is family and keeping everybody together. Every one of your top guys or gals, they all came with you from Gardner-Webb. That continuity, that comfortability, how big is that?
It's huge, because your hope is that everything as a head coach that you were doing that won you a championship, everybody around you can now bring that to a different school, a different program, or different players, and you're not having to start from the ground level because the foundation of what you want has already been built. So I think that was important for me, just to be comfortable and not have to start from the beginning in every aspect of the program.
Position-wise, guards, forwards, tweeners, Where do you feel like you've built the most depth with the way the roster's put together this year?
Before we started our season, I would definitely say at that guard position, I think we have more depth. I think we added a different aspect, not necessarily depth, but we look different at our 5 spot because we added size. You know, the team was put together so that when we get into games, once we get into the season, that we have a team where we could go 5 in, 5 out, and there's no drop off. Or we can sub, hopefully everybody, when they watch our games, they see, we're not just one sub in, one sub out, trying to get to a point where we can sub in 3, bring 3 out, and there is no drop off.
There's always adversity every season, every team. That's just the way life is. You've had it early between injuries and now in some academic where the courses didn't transfer over in time for you to start. How have you dealt with all of that? And how do you end up then trying to put everything together?
I think nothing is ever a shock because I always expect certain things to happen. It's a matter of when they're going to happen is that I don't obviously can't predict when injuries are going to happen or bringing in somebody late is going to happen. But I think I've had enough situations in my career where I've been able to prepare myself for some of those hard situations and conversations. And I think also development is huge for us. It's always been huge. And so we have to make sure that we're developing early so that when an injury happens, we already know who's ready to go.
Building the schedule that you built this year, obviously you had a couple of big names on there, and it was especially important to get Tennessee and Louisville playing you at FedEx Forum. What else are you proud of in terms of just the non-conference that you put together?
I think it gives us some different looks of the styles of play that we're playing against. Obviously, the type of opponent we're playing against, playing teams from the SEC and then playing some mid-major teams, but also some mid-major teams who historically always win their conference, always win 20-plus games a year. Their coach has been there for years. I think that's a challenge for us and for me as a head coach, just to have a measuring stick to where we are as a program so that, going into mid-December when we play Tennessee, when we play Louisville, and then we go into conference season, we should have some success towards the end of our non-conference.
We are obviously still very early. In these stages, what do you like most about your team?
I like our passion for the game. When we play our game, I like how we look offensively. I like our size. I think it's unique to have a 4-player who you put at the point guard. Our versatility is much better, and again, I think our depth is better. We have some players who just need to get a little bit more game time in, somebody like a Tamaya Smith. But I think as time goes on, she will continue to get better, and I think she's a player who has a chance when we get into conference play to be all conference freshman and maybe even freshman of the year.
When you look at the rest of the year, what are your goals compared to last season?
I think our goals are a little bit bigger. That's something that, I hesitate with this team to do that so early, just because we're all coming from different places. So the time to play with each other and get to know each other and understand how each other play is gonna be longer. That time doesn't happen in the preseason. That time doesn't happen, in August, October. That time happens as we play more games. And so when I look at goals, I think we do have a tournament team. We have to get some of those non-conference wins that I think we can get, but I think we're a tournament team and I think we're a championship team. Sometimes it's all about the culture that you build from a head coaching standpoint and then from a staff standpoint, and then that goes into your players. And I think we have that championship mentality with all of our players, especially bringing in the players that we brought and where they came from.
A lot to like about what Coach Simmons says about year 2 for the Memphis women's basketball program. And around the corner, we'll hear from some of her assistants as well.
You're watching The Alex Simmons Show, presented by Chick-Fil-A.
Welcome back to The Alex Simmons Show. Since coming over from Gardner-Webb, Alex Simmons' staff has remained remarkably consistent, and that gives plenty of perspective to her assistants as they go into year 2 with the Memphis women's basketball program. Harlan, great to see you again. I'm curious, this staff for Alex Simmons has stayed together for a couple of years now, coming over from Gardner-Webb. How does that continuity really help you guys form a roster and get the team going in the right direction?
I think that's one of the best things about a staff, one of the longevity a staff can have. We're all really close, so it's not like we're learning new things. You know, as coaches, we're always learning and stuff too, but it's pretty much the same thing, just different players and trying to learn how to adjust to the players that come in, because those are always new and kind of ever-changing. But as far as like the program and what we stand for, what we want to coach and preach to our players, those things stay consistent. So I think it makes it, one, makes it easy, like we don't have to wreck our brains, and two, I think that the players that come in, they see that our chemistry, our longevity, like some of them call us, like we act like sisters. I think that's good because they need to also act like that as well as a team. And the more that we are a team and cohesive, the better that the actual players and team will be as well.
Coach, it's your second year here, but you have been coaching with Alex for a long time. You came with her from Gardner-Webb. All of you did. How does that help in terms of comfortability, just knowing each and everyone's role and have done it for so many years together?
I guess it's stability, you know, knowing what the head coach expects. The players kind of know, you know, what to expect. So I think being stability and having that cohesive unit is very important.
From a roster building standpoint, how fun is it for you to go into the transfer portal and help recruit players like Tyon Bowler, Dede Hageman, and have those kids being excited to work with them during the year?
It's very exciting, you know, especially when you can get some high-level players. You know, coaching sometimes can be overrated. It's definitely about the players, and I think we have, in that guard spot, we got 3 or 4 good ones.
Whitney, you have the pleasure of coaching the forwards, and you've got a special one in Alasia Smith, who moves from the post to a wing. What is that like? What's that task in changing her style?
It definitely keeps me on my toes. She's one of those players that we can kind of put anywhere and to guard any player, so her versatility brings a lot to our team. But just making sure she's prepared in every aspect of the game is the most important for me.
How do you see her pouring into other players, especially younger players in the roster?
Just being that vocal leader. You know, she's played for Coach Alex the most out of anybody. So she knows the standard that Coach Alex wants our players to be held to. And I think she leads by example as well on the floor, just how hard she plays defensively, doing the little things that we need her to do, rebounding, steals, deflections, the statless things that we need her to do in the games.
As a coach, which is the toughest side of the floor to improve a player, offense or defense?
I think defense is effort and like a mindset. So I think coaching players on defense and getting them to buy into that, it's like a pride thing. So that can be a little complicated sometimes, but offensively, everybody usually wants to get a bucket. So you don't have to do too much convincing in that area.
Great to hear about what's fresh and new from the Memphis Tigers women's basketball staff. And now, a few veteran Tigers will tell their tales as well. Alasia, it's been great to see you play as a Memphis Tiger through 1 and now 2 years here in Memphis. This season, you guys have started off a little rocky, but notably, you and Hannah Riddick and Alana Eaton have all come up with career highs over the first couple of games of the season. What kinds of things are you seeing from this team that's allowing individuals to have success like that?
I just feel like, me personally, like we have a lot of pieces that has been put together. We can have anybody that can score the ball and anybody that can have the hot hand anytime. It's very important that everybody does their job and opens up whoever can score the ball.
You as a veteran player have been through a lot of bumps and bruises, and I think one of the best things and the biggest things about being a good veteran is battling through pain. How do you tell younger players what this experience is like? Because it's going to be painful for most kids throughout their career.
Honestly, I mean, I'm old. I definitely can say I'm old now. But just taking care of your body first. Like I said, mental is also one thing that you got to take care of. Your body, being in and out of the training room, taking care of it outside of it, just everything, just taking care of it first.
Lakin Cox, nice to see you in Tiger Blue and Gray for a second year in a row, coming over from Gardner-Webb. I know Alex Simmons is a big part of your basketball life. What was it like for you trying to come with her and adjust to being a Memphis Tiger rather than a Gardner-Webb Bulldog?
I think personally it was just the atmosphere. Like coming from Gardner Webb, you didn't have that many fans. You didn't have we had support, but it wasn't as big as Memphis. So coming here was just like a change of scenery, like trying to adjust to the new scenery that I was in.
For you, last year, an adjustment in competition level as well, and a little bit of a change of a role from what you had with the Running Bulldogs. How did you react to that, and how has that informed how you're going to go into this year?
Coming from playing like a center to a power forward now, I don't think it was really a big change for real. I just more like I was smaller. Like these girls now are real tall, and just keeping a level head, trying to stay composed when things get rough on my part. I don't really think it's really like a big difference. I think just because I still played that same role, just being in a bigger environment just makes it a little harder.
Hannah Rick, great to see you again as a fourth-year Tiger, one of the veterans in this program, one of the leaders in this program as well. Going into year 2 under Alex Simmons, in the first couple of games of the year, we've seen career highs from you, from Alana Eaton, and from Alasia Smith as well. That's pretty good for the first couple of games of the season. What do you see that's leading to these great individual efforts so early?
I think there's a lot of talent on this team. And I think a lot of people come from different schools where like maybe they weren't given the opportunity or maybe weren't given the confidence to shine like that. And then I feel like in this setting, they're just really able to kind of go for it. And I think that's really great. And I think we're working towards everyone performing like that at the same time. I think that's our challenge now.
You have a challenge set before you as well, unfortunately.
I do. Yeah.
And it stinks when you have an injury. And
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, in the immediate aftermath, what's your perspective like? Because that can't be an easy thing to adjust to.
I think at first, I was really, I remember when I first injured it, I was ready to take my straps off and just run the game. I don't like to see my team struggle. And that was hard to watch. Knowing that I could have helped them and knowing I could have been a difference maker was hard. But I'm a woman of faith. And so I do believe that these kind of things are part of God's plan for a bigger, better purpose. And I don't really know what it is right now, but I believe that I'm still committed to this team. Even if it is off the court, even if it is more of a vocal leadership role or picking my teammates up. Whatever it is, I feel like it's gonna make me grow.
Great to hear the optimism and the candor for the Memphis Tigers women's basketball team. Up next, we look ahead at the finish to non-conference play.
You're watching The Alex Simmons Show, presented by Chick-Fil-A. Let's take a look at the AutoZone road ahead.
We're getting close to the end of non-conference, but wait, you got Louisville, you've got Tennessee. These are big games. What are you really looking forward to see from your team with those really good competitors?
Well, I guess the first thing we're looking forward to winning. You don't play those games and go into them with the expectation just to get better or just to see how you measure up. I mean, it's almost the end of December. And so by then you hope that, your system is in place, your team has gotten better from November until then. So, I think we expect to win, but you play those games to be better in March and April.
When you put these high-powered teams on your schedule, who do you think benefits the most from seeing those opponents?
It's unique in that we have a couple players who have already played some of those opponents. So they can give a little bit different perspective than us as coaches watching film and scouting. It benefits us as a program. I'm not sure individually it really does because I think we have a team that they're gonna come out and they don't care who we play. They're gonna play as hard as possible. So I think it more so benefits us as a program.
That was tonight's AutoZone Road Ahead. AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination and official sponsor of Tiger Athletics. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
I can't wait to see those games at FedEx Forum, and they're coming up soon. Back with a wrap in just a minute.
You're watching The Alex Simmons Show, presented by Chick-Fil-A.
Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again next month.
The Alex Simmons Show is presented by Chick-Fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. And by Simmons Bank, the official sponsor of women's athletics. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation of the University of Memphis Sports Network. This copyrighted telecast is an exclusive presentation of Learfield under the broadcasting rights granted by the University of Memphis. Reuse of this presentation is prohibited without the expressed written consent of the University of Memphis and Learfield.